Hi, friends, and welcome to Self Meets Soul, a podcast where we discuss how to discover what sets your soul on fire and modern ways to integrate spirituality into your daily life. My name is Juliana, and today we're going to be talking about challenges that you might, and honestly, I say might loosely, you probably will face while you are on your spiritual journey. So, right now, spirituality is really popular, it's really big. I honestly feel like yoga kind of blowing up, especially like if you're on the West Coast. I feel like yoga really is the thing that kind of introduces a lot of people to spirituality nowadays, and that has really made it become more normalized, I would say. But this normalization of spirituality has made it be so that people think that the journey that you're going to take, if you do decide to go on this self development journey, is just all smooth and love and light, and it's all about just like awakening and reaching enlightenment. And sometimes it doesn't go into really like the challenges that you might face and the hard things that come up and the hard feelings you might have to face. And honestly, sometimes the shattering, to be quite honest, of your current reality and your current life. And with that being said, you might have heard probably of the dark night of the soul, and your dark night of the soul is typically like a earth shattering type of experience or situation that happens to you that really usually leads people to like leap into enlightenment and awakening and stuff like that. And I'm considering doing an episode on a dark night of the soul eventually, but I honestly like really need to go more into it because personally I don't really think I have had that experience yet. And I'm only 26 right now, and I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But I don't really think I've had anything in my life that has like rocked me to my core in that sense. And really, at least for people in my age group or even younger, or maybe just really fortunate people who are even older than me, like I don't necessarily think everyone experiences that at the time that they discover spirituality. And so, because of that, you may not feel like that term, dark night of the soul, resonates with you. You may not feel a connection to it. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of focus on spirituality being all love and light. But I also think on the flip side, and that's also because honestly I'm on spiritual TikTok, so I see it all, that there's people who also try to fear monger you and try to discourage you from going into the spiritual journey, or basically just saying like, oh, people think that they have what it takes, but they don't because it's so dark, and you'll see like shadow demons, and you'll hate your life, and you'll experience spiritual psychosis. And all of these things are real, and all of these things are things that people do experience. But again, I think the issue is just there are two opposite sides of the spectrum here, and it is possible to have an overall positive experience on your spiritual journey but still face challenges, like normal everyday human grounded on this planet type of challenges that you may struggle with when they come up. And I really wanted to make this episode because we're at the end of March when I'm recording this. You won't hear this until May, but currently on March 30th, I have had kind of a challenging year, I would say, so far. Like, nothing insanely intense where I'm just like, going into a dark place or anything like that, but challenges that I wasn't expecting per se, and just feelings of kind of confusion, um, a little bit of doubt here and there, not in myself, but just like in other life circumstances, I would say. So I just kind of wanted to make this episode to talk about how these challenges are very normal. Like, I never want to come on here and pretend like I am just this enlightened spiritual being who has no issues and my practices are so perfect, and I don't even know. Honestly, I don't want to ever come across like that, because the thing is that's not genuine. And I think it is important for those of you who listen to this to know that there are challenges that come up on this journey, and that's totally normal. So, just to give you an idea of some of these challenges, and some of them haven't even popped up yet, but I do a tarot spread at the beginning of the year. I pull a card for each month and kind of see, like, oh, what is the theme of these months, the theme of this year going to be. And when I did this tarot pool on January 2nd, I was like, oh, I was a little afraid. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wait a second. This doesn't sound like the best. I'm kind of scared now. But I try not to like go back and look at it too often, but I will say as of late, I've been like going back and looking at the card pulls that I did because I'm like, okay, wow, life be lifing right now. So just to give you some examples, February, we got themes of anxiety. In May, we have be well as you walk forward into the unknown. So, uncertainty in May. And then we have the Hermit for July, being alone. August was literally the devil. And I was like, how rude, considering that's my birthday month. But that said to face the hard truth about yourself. September was talking about look at how you're spending your money. And November, literally the two words, betrayal and heartbreak. So can't wait for that. And then December, the theme was to second guess myself. And I didn't say every month because, some of the months were good. But overall, I was like, wait, this is making me a little anxious. But I'm trying not to read too much into it. I also know that my choices and my spiritual practices that I use to, try and be a better person can influence how things change. Obviously, I don't think that the tarot cards are set in stone, especially when you are pulling so far in advance. But I do think it is a good way to get an idea. So now I'll get into some of the spiritual challenges that you might face on your journey, and then I'll talk about some ways to overcome them as well, because I'm not going to leave you guys feeling hopeless or worried out here, all right? It'll be okay. we're all chilling. Also, I do want to preface that, and I may have mentioned this before, but it is my Saturn return is starting. So, yeah. I would love to do an episode about Saturn return, but I'm thinking like once mine is done, maybe I'll just do a whole episode about things, major shifts that happened and occurred from it. But yeah, I'm very well aware going into this year that I may be facing some more challenges because of this. So the first challenge that you may experience is spiritual dryness or spiritual imperfection, I'm going to say. And spiritual dryness is basically not feeling connected with your practices. So they're not resonating with you for some reason. And I feel like I'm kind of going through this right now. I was so connected to my practices when the year started, like meditating every day, no problem. And I've mentioned in past episodes that like that has always been a goal of mine because it's something I really struggle with doing every day. Because when you're just like a type A, overstimulated, overbook yourself type girly, sitting down for 10 minutes, it's like, okay, unfortunately, why instead do I want to like just binge my books or go on TikTok or whatever it is or watch my shows? And that's been something I struggled with. But this year I've been super proud of myself because the practices have been connecting with me more. And right now I feel like I have so many other things going on in my personal life that I'm just like questioning and really thinking about, that I feel like my spiritual practices have kind of fallen and I'm experiencing that dryness per se. And I also use the term imperfection because I think there's a lot of pressure to be the perfect like spiritual person, to be the person who looks again like all love and light and who dresses a certain way and lights your incense every day and meditates and uses your crystals and does your moon rituals. Like there is, I think the downside of spirituality becoming more accepted and known is that like there is that pressure that you might have on yourself to look like what you think spirituality should look like, and definitely is not the case. Like that is a challenge that you might face, but just something you kind of have to get over, honestly. But because I have been having just other things in my life that I've been focusing on, my connection to my practices has kind of fallen, which is funny because I know in reality that is when you should be diving into your practices the most because they can help you with those challenges. But I think I have a tendency, and people who are very grounded and based in this reality, in this earth, I think there is a tendency to, when life gets busy, whether it's busy for a good reason, a quote unquote bad reason, or a neutral reason, to focus on that and kind of push spirituality to the side. Like I've done that in relationships. I've done that when I'm starting new relationships. I've done that when I'm vacationing. Like I let those things slip to the side. That kind of can be challenging because one, it's harder to kind of get back on the horse of following your practices, but also it just kind of makes you feel guilty, and it really shouldn't make you feel guilty. But just know that if you are experiencing spiritual dryness, or if you have in the past, that is a total normal thing. Like you're not going to be connected to your practices every day. You're not going to be talking to your spirit guides every day. And if you are, like, dang, kudos to you, admire you. But the whole reason I started this podcast too was to show that it is possible to live this life, and it's possible to go on this journey while also being grounded in this reality. Because what you guys aren't going to ever see me is me coming on to here being like, oh my God, I'm doing van life, or I'm joining a commune. Like, you're not going to see me do that. I am very based in this reality. I like my nice apartments. I went to school and then went to grad school, and I'm working in corporate, and I actually like my corporate job. So you're not going to see that. But for those of you who resonate with me in that way, like you are a spiritual person, but you are also very grounded to like the human experience, then know that that spiritual dryness that happens, totally normal. Another challenge that you might face on your journey is relationship struggles, and this can look like outgrowing people, feeling lonely, or seeing people's true colors/intentions, I would say. And I'm like going through this right now. Like this is the thing, to be completely candid, that I have just been like just uneasy about, honestly, since like mid-January. So that's why this year so far has been kind of like, what's happening, you know? And this is totally normal on your spiritual journey, and dare I say, this is going to happen to you, and you are going to lose friendships. And that can be really hard to hear. It can be hard to face. It can be hard to accept. But the thing is, you can't go on this journey and glow up, per se, and become the highest version of yourself while still holding on to everything from your past life that you had and that you did and that you experienced before going on this journey. Because your eyes are going to open, and you're going to really, really, oh my God, and this is so like me right now. You're going to really trust your intuition, and your intuition is going to get so freaking loud about literally the most random things, but that includes it getting loud about the people in your life. This can be family members, this can be romantic relationships, and it can be friendships. There are people that you are going to lose on this journey, and it hurts and it sucks and it feels weird, and you may doubt yourself, but it has to happen. Because how can you make room for the people who are meant to be around you, the people who are uplifting you, the people who are supporting you, the people who are also on this journey? How can you make room for them when you're holding on to all of these other relationships that you have quite frankly outgrown? It's kind of similar to what I talked about in my How People Are Like Plants episode, in the sense that, like, you're going to have to cut off those leaves. The ones that are dying, the ones that are sucking the energy away from all the other leaves you're trying to grow. And while you may have complete awareness that this is for your highest good, that this is beneficial for you, it is lonely. Like a lot of people on this journey feel lonely or just go through parts where they just don't, God, maybe they have a lot of friends, maybe they're in a relationship, maybe they have all these people around them, but they still feel lonely because they aren't truly being seen as this new version of themselves, or even worse, they may be being inauthentic to themselves because they know that these people from their lives aren't a part of that or don't understand this journey that you're on. And that can be really difficult because you start to see people's patterns, people you don't really know. You start to feel their energy right away. Like, you notice the energies behind people, you notice the intentions. And honestly, like for me, things will come to light like literally out of nowhere about people, and you might be surprised and you might be confused and you might not understand. And that's just so rough, but it's all for your highest good, and it's how it should be. As you become more open on this journey, as you receive more and more signs from the universe because you are open to receiving them, stuff like that's going to happen. Like, things are going to come to light, and you're going to suddenly not feel the same about certain people in your life anymore. And it's going to be hard for you to maintain a relationship once you start seeing things a little bit differently. That's just a part of the process. But what I can promise you is that if you start to get intuitive nudges about some of the relationships that you have and how they don't serve you anymore, and how, I don't know, maybe that person is like secretly rooting against you or something like that. If you ignore the nudges, things are just going to happen. The nudges will get louder and louder. Things will just keep happening until that person might do something that is totally unforgivable, totally makes you feel betrayed. And then at that point, you'll have no choice but to listen. So this isn't to say, oh, cut off everybody who you're like having conflict with. Definitely not. But what you do need to do is have those conversations with people and pay really close attention to how they respond. And if they respond in any way that's less than what you deserve, that doesn't make you feel seen, that makes you feel not heard, that makes you feel insecure, then they're going to need to go. And I guarantee, again, that this will happen with at least one person in your life while you're on this journey. And that's not to scare you, but it's just to kind of prepare you that that's something you want to be cognizant of when you do take these steps. If you want to get to this place you want to be, your highest version, yeah, the beginning stages are going to be research dumping, reading all the spiritual books, listening to all the podcasts, like meditating, yoga, all that fun stuff. But you can't keep transcending on your path unless you also face the hard stuff, which are some of these challenges. Now, kind of on the flip side of that, another challenge that you'll probably face at some point is falling into ego traps. And ego traps are where you feel superior to the people around you who are not on this journey, and you are not living like in reality. You're not grounded in reality, spending too much time trying to understand the spiritual world, trying to understand, spending too much time basically with your head in the clouds instead of here on earth and having the human experience, because again, that's very, very important. And it's so easy to fall into these traps. It's so easy to just only consume that type of content, especially when you're getting started. And, I mentioned that a second ago, but like, yeah, it's normal for you to be really, really super interested when you're getting started. But if that only grows as time goes on and you start to lose your sense of connection, like, for example, I earlier this month discovered this artist from one of my friends, and her name is Lava. If you have never listened to her, like, you need to, because that music was hitting, okay, with the spiritual messages. She's a new age artist. And so then I started looking up all these other new age artists, and I was like, yes, I love this music. It's so high vibrational. However, I don't only listen to that music. Like, my number one genre is rap, okay? Like, I love me Travis Scott. I love Don Toliver. I listen to Drake still, even though some of you have canceled him. But, like, I listen to also things that, aren't, to be quite honest, having the highest vibration. But that's because I like the I like the beats. I like the environment. I like how rap music makes me feel. And so it's all about balance, right? You can be a spiritual person, but also grounded in reality. Don't lose touch of your humanness, because your purpose is to live your human experience. Like that's what life is. It's not going to be any fun if you are just living in complete woo-woo land, okay? And thankfully, I don't feel like I've fallen into ego traps. But again, the feeling superior thing, yes, you are going to lose relationships because they have served their purpose for your journey. That's not to say that you cut all of your friends off who don't believe in like the same stuff, okay? That's also not very realistic. You aren't better than other people because you have discovered this stuff and they haven't. What I like to do is try to introduce concepts to, friends and family. Like, for example, I'm so big into astrocartography right now, and I was pulling up my chart and I was telling my mom about it, and she was actually pretty interested. And then we started talking about her birth chart, and she's like, isn't a believer in all this stuff, but she isn't completely closed off to it. Now, are there moments, of course, where I'm talking to people or I have conflict with someone, and in my head I think, well, this would be easier if they kind of had this mindset that I'm growing, because then they would understand more. Yeah, of course, I have moments like that, but that doesn't make you better than other people, and it also doesn't make you right all of the time, because at the end of the day, they are a human, you are a human, they are flawed, you are flawed, and really, like, at its core, you both are living on this earth, so there's only so much more wisdom that you can have just because you are into spirituality. And the last challenge that I'm going to talk about today is experiencing overwhelm from awakening, basically. And that is just when things that you used to like don't hit the same, really, to put it in like a casual manner. Now, I kind of talked about this in my young adult life crisis, where I talked about how things really change when you hit your mid-20s, when you leave college, and lots of aspects about your life. And that is true for every person, and it is especially true for people who go on the spiritual journey. For example, if you are like me and you loved the clubs when you were younger, and I still go out like every now and again. Like, I literally went out twice this weekend. But when you go, it doesn't hit the same. Not just because you're older and you're tired, but also because you are going into these spaces where there is so much energy. The energy is everywhere, and you are picking up on it, because the longer you are on this journey, this path, the more aware you become of other people's energies. And being in a crowded bar with like 100+ people who all have their own different energy, and then on top of that, most of these people are drinking, and that really messes with people's energy as well. It can be a lot to take on. It can feel really heavy, and it can feel not safe, and it doesn't hit the same. And that can be something that kind of makes you sad or is a little overwhelming, because you might just want to go back to how you felt before when you were out like that. But as they say, once you open your eyes, like, you can't unsee it. You can't put the cat back into the bag. I saw someone say on TikTok the other day, like, once you know, you know. Besides, like I mentioned, certain people in your life not resonating with you anymore, other things that you might do won't hit the same. Maybe you're someone who binges a lot of TV, or just kind of likes to play video games, or just, I don't know, just do things that are necessarily like not unproductive, I would say, but just like you like to veg out. And don't get me wrong, your girl be vegging out multiple times a week. I love to veg out. However, it may not feel as relaxing to you as it once was once you go on this journey, because you start to realize, how am I using my energy? Is me scrolling on TikTok for hours a productive use of my energy? And it will probably make you not feel good as well. You'll feel sluggish. You'll feel just even overwhelmed from absorbing too much content. These are all things that you start to notice on your journey. Even where you might live may not resonate with you anymore. Like you may feel like, okay, yeah, my time is up. I have done everything that I needed to do here. I have learned the lessons that I was meant to learn here. And you just may start to feel like your purpose is done. And you may feel an urge to leave. And I mention this because that is where I'm at right now. Like I've lived in Phoenix for almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years when this episode comes out. And that is just absolutely insane to me because, as I've mentioned before, I grew up moving pretty much every 2 years. So this is the longest place I've ever lived in my life. And that was really, really great after college when I was like, okay, you know, I lived here all of college, 4 years. I felt very stable because my whole life I haven't had that stability. However, now instead of, oh, I feel stable, it's morphed into now I feel stagnant. Now I feel like there's something new that's calling me, even though that stuff is scary because the unknown is scary, all right? And losing your connection to certain things, losing these positive feelings you might have experienced from doing certain things, being somewhere, being around certain people, it can give you anxiety and it's a little overwhelming because you may feel as if your life is kind of, I don't even want to say crumbling because that feels dramatic to me. And like I said, these challenges aren't like dark nights of the soul moments, but it feels as if your life is kind of being broken down and like reshaped a little bit. And once you start to feel those feelings, it is incredibly difficult to unfeel them and to ignore them. And you don't want to ignore those feelings. You don't want to ignore them at all because this is the universe communicating directly with you. And I've said it 1,000,000 times, and I'm sure you've heard it, but the universe is always working for you, not against you. So when you are having these challenges come up, you have to trust that this is a message and that this is a sign, and just kind of embrace it, honestly. So now I'm going to talk about the ways to overcome these challenges. Like I just said, sit with the discomfort instead of resisting it. You are not going to get rid of that feeling by trying to force something that is no longer meant to be, or by telling yourself that, oh, everything's fine, it's fine, and just ignoring it. You have to sit with the discomfort and ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable? Why am I experiencing these challenges? I don't feel great about this, and the feelings that I'm feeling are valid, but I need to figure out why. And you can also do that by reframing these struggles that you're going through as invitations to grow. I think it can be really easy, especially in kind of how our society is set up, for bad, quote unquote, things to happen, undesirable things to happen, and for you to immediately kind of fall into this sadness and this woe is me. And again, sit with that discomfort. Your feelings are valid. Use your RAIN method, right? However, try to flip that challenge on its head by saying, wow, I'm being faced with a challenge right now. The universe is giving me an opportunity to grow. It's giving me the chance to expand and to discover what my highest potential could be, and to fall into my path and to keep following it and to end up in the situation that I'm meant to be in. And both of these are mindset shifts, right? And I would argue that mindset shifts are the hardest thing to overcome, honestly, and they take the longest time. So if you're having a hard time with these challenges that you're facing on your journey, then find that external support. Find support through your community. If you have a community of spiritual friends who will understand how this feels. And I have recently found a community like that, and it has been so amazing. Like when I tell you guys, I literally sit there in awe whenever I'm there. And Sydney, he is the one who really introduced me to this community and all these other people, and we did a new moon ritual with this community. And every time I'm just in the presence of these people, I'm in absolute awe at the fact that I'm always learning something new. I feel like my energy is always great around them. I always feel expansive, and that I don't even have to like explain anything because they know. And that community is really important as you're going through this journey, because we're not meant to face challenges alone. If you don't have a community like that right now, then find that comfort and support through books, find it through podcasts. Like, the beautiful thing about modern spirituality is that there are podcast topics for everything. Like I told you, I'm obsessed with astrocartography right now. There's a whole podcast dedicated solely to astrocartography. Like, when you want answers to things or you want to feel understood, like Reddit. I've been a huge Reddit girl in the last like 6 months. And like I go to there for everything. Like, find communities that way. And my last suggestion for overcoming these challenges on your spiritual journey is to practice self-compassion and patience. It is okay to feel sad when you're going through these challenges. You are a person, okay? You're a human being, not a human doing. You don't need to find ways to get rid of the undesirable feelings that you might be having. It is okay to sit with them for a little bit. And like I mentioned earlier, you should be sitting with them and allowing them to marinate and just be, so that you can figure out why they're showing up. And it's okay to be confused. Like, it's okay to not know what's going next. Guys, I am confused as heck right now. Okay, I'm like, what is going on this year? I know it's my Saturn return. I know the tarot cards warn me. Like, what is happening? I wasn't expecting any of this. And I'm confused about, am I about to make like a pretty big life change for me? And I'm unsure and I'm uncertain. But those are normal feelings, and those will happen. Those feelings will come up on your journey, and they are totally okay. So instead of telling yourself I shouldn't be feeling this way, instead of trying to get rid of the feeling or just solve your way through it, okay, I'm a solver. I like to get rid of the problems so that I can bring back control. But you need to practice self-compassion for yourself, and you need to be patient. These challenges are showing up for a reason on your journey, and that reason is so you can continue to evolve into the highest version of you. So a journal prompt that I will leave you with today is, what challenges am I currently facing, and what might these challenges be trying to tell me and wanting me to face? So just know that I believe in you. This journey is not meant to be all shadow work. It's also meant to be fun, and that there's going to be highs and lows, and that's just life. But you've got it. That's all that I have for you today, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a review and share this podcast with someone in your life. You never know who might resonate with it. Chat with you later.